Today we're going to spend just a little bit of time going over some formulas. If you can memorize these formulas, that would be awesome. We'll spend some time memorizing them because you have to have them memorized for the state test. As we do this, some of these formulas, or at least parts of it, should look familiar. Last year in 7th grade, you should have done an entire unit on circles. Finding area of circle, finding circumference, finding diameters, finding radius. So you should have already worked with circles. The problem is that some of you guys can't remember those formulas, so I'm going to go over them with you again. So last year you dealt with 2 dimensions, just a length and a width. This year we're going to be applying the circle to 3 dimension, to a 3rd dimension, so it's going to have a height. So all of our formulas will have a V, and it's always going to be in cubic units because it's 3-dimensional. So our formula for a cylinder is volume equals, and I used to sing to my kids, area of circles, pi r squared. So you're going to find the area of the circle, or the base, which is pi times radius squared. The only thing that's different is that now we have to times it by that 3rd dimension, which is the height. That's your formula. So again, we go to cones. We still need to find the area of circle, pi r squared, and we need to times it by the height. But this one, we have to divide by 3. If we had the same base, same dimensions of the base, 3 cones could fit into a cylinder. Meaning if I took a cone and filled it with water, I could pour 3 of those in that cylinder and they would be the same. So this is 1/3 the size of a cylinder, and that's why we have to divide this one by 3. The one that throws you off the most is a sphere, and that's because it's rounded everywhere, so it actually is a little bit different of a formula. This one says take 4 times pi times radius cubed. This one, you'll notice there's no height in my formula. That's because we don't have the actual height of this sphere, and so we're going to be looking at the radius only. So we have radius, and then we're still going to divide this by 3. Now I'm going to show you how to plug it into your calculator. So first thing we need to know is our different shapes. The cylinder is this one right here, our cone is this one, and our sphere, think of like a hemisphere or a sphere, our globe, that's a sphere. So as we look at these, there's a couple of things that we need to do. I'm going to start with the cylinder. First thing you need to know is that when you're looking at the cylinder or the cone, your radius has to be inside of that circle. So things that we should know. The diameter goes clear across the circle, okay? Your radius is only halfway. So if it gives you a diameter, you need the radius. None of these formulas require a diameter, so you're going to need the radius. So I'm going to start with this cylinder. I'm first going to label my radius and my height. I find my circle. That means this is my radius. It only goes halfway across. This 4 is my height. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to plug into my calculator. And I already did it, but let me clear this. So we're going to start, and it's pi. Your pi button is right above your exponent key, the power, to the raised to the power of. So you're going to do pi times radius squared. If you remember, our radius was 1.5, and then we're going to square it. Pi times radius squared. The last thing we have to do is times it by our height, which was 4. Now, yours is going to come out with my top answer here that says 9 pi. That means that they've left it in terms of pi, because if you took the 1.5 squared and the 4 squared, it would come out as a whole number, which was 9. And then all you'd have to do is just times it by pi. The bottom one here, you're going to have to convert to get to. Most of yours will not say leave in terms of pi. Most of yours will say round to the nearest tenth. So we're going to take 28.27. and we're going to round that 2 to a 3 because that's in my tenths place. So our answer on this would be 28.3. So we would have this volume would equal 28.3. This is in yards, so yards cubed. All right, let's look at this next one. We have a cone. So we're finding our radius. You'll notice that this says diameter. So we need to divide that by 2 to get the radius, which would be 11. So my radius is 11. My height is still 10. And now I'm going to plug it in to my formula. So it's area of circles, pi r squared, times the height will give me the volume, but I have to divide this by 3 because I don't have an entire cylinder. So let's clear this again. So we're going to hit our fraction key. And on top, I'm going to do pi first, using the pi key, times 11 squared, area of circles, pi r squared, times my height, which was 10. The last thing I need to do is divide that by 3. Again, you put that whole thing in your calculator. You'll notice mine still comes out in terms of pi right here. So I'm going to hit enter. Mine will automatically convert it. Yours, you're going to have to hit your convert key. So if I were to round this to the nearest tenth, I would still have 1,267.1. So I'm going to come back here, and I would have my volume equals 1,267.1, and this is in cubic centimeters. Our last one is a sphere. And so we come over to our sphere. Again, we need radius. We never need the diameter. So we're going to divide this by 2. That will give me 6. So I'm going to plug it into my formula, which is 4 times pi times radius cubed. This one you guys will forget. You'll put a square in, and that's where you'll go wrong with that one. So we come to our calculator. We hit our fraction key. We do 4 times pi times my radius, which was 6, and we need that to the 3rd power. Then on the bottom, we're still dividing this by 3. Again, it comes out in terms of pi, which was 288 pi. Hit your convert key, and we're going to round this. So it's 904 point. This 7 right here is going to round up because 7 is bigger. The 7 next to it's bigger than 5, so it'd be 904.8. And since it doesn't have units, you just say units cubed. All right, so now you have your formulas. I'm going to give you 3 questions that I want you to try, and I'm going to be looking at your answers on these. You're going to round all of them to the nearest tenth. So we're going to round answers to the 10th place. Now, you're going to be super impressed with my drawing because you already know I'm an amazing artist. So here's the first one. So here's my cylinder. Here, so I have dimensions of 6 and 4. Whoops, I didn't mean to erase that. Here's my cone with a radius of 7, a height of 14. And here is my sphere, and this is 9.3. 9.3. Good night. Which is my radius on that one too. So as you do this, okay, seriously, Walker, so this is 9.3. I want you to try those 3 on your own, plugging them into your formulas and then rounding them to the nearest tenth. And you can check to see if you got it correct.